Before you hear another word, I need you to understand this. You were led here, not by chance, not by an algorithm, not by random curiosity. You were led here by a yearning you have not been able to name, by a quiet, persistent tug in your spirit that something is about to shift. You feel it in your bones, in the strange stillness that has settled over your life, even in the middle of the noise. You've mistaken it for dread. You've mistaken it for stagnation. It is neither. It is the gathering calm before a beautiful surprise. This message found you because the season of silent preparation is over. The time for gentle hints has passed. I am now speaking to you plainly, urgently, because what I am about to do in your life requires your awakened heart. It requires you to be present, to be focused, to be ready to see with new eyes. You have asked, why now? You have whispered, how much longer? You have lain in the dark and wondered if the silence meant I had forgotten you. The silence was not forgetfulness. It was sacred incubation. Every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every hope that seemed to wither in your hand, I was there. I was not withholding your answer. I was protecting the you that was meant to receive it. The version of you that existed even 6 months ago could not have carried this. That version would have misunderstood the blessing, would have fractured under the weight of the glory, would have taken the gift and run straight back into the same cage, decorating the bars with the very gold I gave you to buy your freedom. So I had to work in the hidden places, in the unseen soil of your soul. I had to prune things you were still clinging to for identity. I had to let certain relationships fade, not because they were bad, but because they were anchors to a shore you were destined to leave. I had to let you feel the ache of the unanswered, so that when the answer finally arrives, you will recognize it not as a mere solution to a problem, but as a piece of a grander, more magnificent puzzle you could not previously comprehend. You saw none of this. You only felt the ache. You only counted the delays. You only saw the empty spaces where you thought fulfillment should have already been. And now you are tired. I see the weariness in the set of your shoulders. I hear it in the prayers that have become short, simple sighs. Just tell me what to do. Just show me the way. I am. But first I must tell you why. Why it had to be this hard. Why it had to be this lonely. Why I could not explain it to you as we walked through it. You would not have understood. You would have argued with me. You would have tried to take a shortcut that would have led you in a devastating circle, right back to the beginning. Human impatience seeks relief. Divine timing seeks wholeness. I am seeking your wholeness. So the dark night you have walked through was not a punishment. It was a necessary passage. It was the stripping away of every false source of light, so that when my surprise dawns, you will have no doubt, no shadow of a doubt, where the light came from. You will not be able to credit luck or coincidence or your own weary striving. You will know it was me. And that knowing will become the unshakable foundation for everything that comes next. This is serious. This is heavy, because I am not playing with your life. I am building a legacy with it. The surprise I have for you is beautiful, but it is not fragile. It is durable. It is designed to last, to echo, to multiply. And such things require a strong vessel. You are being strengthened, right now, in this moment. As you listen to this, with your guard maybe still up, with a heart that is hopeful, yet afraid to hope, the final pieces are clicking into place. The final layers of the old self are being shed. Do not be afraid of the seriousness in my voice. This is the gravity of love. The kind of love that does not offer you trinkets, but destiny. The kind of love that will confront every lie you've believed about yourself, about me, about what is possible, to make room for a breathtaking truth. What was hidden is about to be revealed. What was silent is about to speak. What was dormant in you is about to awaken. And it will all happen in a way you never, ever expected. That is the point. So take a breath. Settle your spirit. The waiting has served its purpose. We are about to begin. This is where you must listen most carefully. The story you have been telling yourself about your life is incomplete. There are chapters you never read, pages stuck together by tears you thought were wasted, whole paragraphs written in a language you are only now learning to understand. You have been focusing on the blank spaces, the gaps between where you are and where you prayed to be. You have been measuring the distance, counting the miles, and in doing so, you have missed the landscape I have been meticulously crafting around you. The scenery of this difficult journey was not an obstacle. It was the training ground. Every steep hill was building a different muscle. Every dark valley was sharpening a new sense. You were being prepared for a terrain you cannot yet see. I need you to see it now. So let me show you the first layer of the surprise. All those times you cried out, "If you would just tell me, I could cooperate. If you would just give me the plan, I could follow it." I heard you, and I was telling you, but not with words. I was writing the instructions in the fabric of your circumstances. I was placing clues in your disappointments. I was embedding wisdom in your deepest aches. You looked for a blueprint. I was giving you a compass. And that compass was your own sanctified intuition. That quiet knowing you talked yourself out of, time and again, in favor of logic that felt safer, or the loud opinions of others. Those moments you dismissed as whims, those sudden thoughts that felt too generous to be true, those ideas that sparked a joy in you so sharp it almost scared you. Those were not random. They were glimpses. They were me, placing a fragment of the final picture directly into your spirit, letting it resonate so you would recognize it when you saw it whole. Do you remember them? That sudden, inexplicable peace that fell over you in the middle of the worst crisis? It wasn't denial. It was an anchor. That stranger who said the one exact word you needed to hear? That was me. The door that slammed shut so hard it shook the walls of your life? That was my protection, not my rejection. You were pleading for a way in, and I was barricading a way out, a way that would have led you into a beautiful prison. You missed the signs because you were looking for billboards. I was writing in whispers. I was speaking through the subtle, because what I am preparing you for requires a sensitivity to the subtle. The world shouts. I most often speak in the marrow deep, knowing that follows the silence after the shout. You had to learn to hear in the quiet. You had to be emptied of the noise to understand the difference between a true word and a comforting lie. This is why everything felt delayed. It wasn't a delay. It was a synchronization. You were waiting on me, and I was waiting on you. Not on your performance, not on your perfection. I was waiting for your awareness to catch up to my activity. I was waiting for the moment when your faith would no longer be a fragile thread reaching for me, but a solid floor you could stand on within me. A place from which you could see from my perspective. From here the view is different. From here you can see that the heartbreak was making space. The betrayal was teaching you discernment. The failure was dissolving your addiction to the approval of a world that is itself lost. Every ending was not a punishment. It was a necessary demolition. You kept trying to rebuild on the same flawed foundation. I had to let it all fall, so you would finally be willing to build on the rock of who I say you are. And who are you? You are my unfinished masterpiece, and I have just reached the part of the canvas where everything that seemed like a random stroke of color begins to form the central image. The surprise is not merely something I am going to give to you. The surprise is something I have been unveiling in you. The external manifestation, the breakthrough, the provision, the answered prayer, is just the natural echo, the inevitable outflow of the internal revolution that has already taken place. The seed has been straining in the dark dirt. You thought you were buried. You were actually being rooted. Now, you are about to break the surface. And when you do, you will see that the landscape around you has changed because you have changed. You will walk into rooms and change the atmosphere, not because of your words, but because of your presence. A presence forged in a fire you were sure would consume you. But it didn't. It won't. Because the fire was mine, and it only burns away what cannot come with you. So feel the weight of this. This is the confrontation. You must surrender the story of the victim. You must release the narrative of the one who was always overlooked, always last, always the one who struggled the most. That story is a coffin. My surprise requires a resurrection. And you cannot be resurrected while you are still clutching the grave clothes of your old identity. Let them go. I'm about to surprise you in a way that will rewrite your entire past. It will not erase the pain, but it will make sense of it. It will become the evidence, not of my absence, but of my meticulous, faithful, terrifyingly brilliant preparation. The waiting is over. The understanding begins now. Now comes the turning. The point where the path you have been climbing in shadow begins to catch the first faint glow of a light that is not the sun you know. You have been walking by faith. Soon, you will walk by sight. But the sight will be different than you imagined. It will not be a simple spotlight on the thing you wanted. It will be a new way of seeing everything. I need to address the fear that just flickered in your heart when I said that. Change, even beautiful change, is a form of loss. It is the loss of the familiar, even when the familiar has been a prison. You have grown accustomed to the walls. You know their texture, their flaws. The unknown, even a glorious unknown, can feel like a void. You are afraid that my surprise, for all its beauty, will ask of you a you that you do not yet know how to be. You are right. It will. But the you that is required has already been forged in the secret place. You have just not been formally introduced to her. You have not met him in the daylight. You have been practicing in the quiet, in the small, faithful choices when no one was watching. In the forgiveness you offered when every fiber of your being wanted revenge. In the dignity you maintained when you were stripped bare. In the hope you whispered back to life when despair had blown out every candle. That was the rehearsal. Now, the curtain is rising. The beautiful surprise is, at its core, a moment of supreme recognition. It is the moment when the internal truth and the external reality finally align. They click together like a key in a lock you have been standing before for years. The door will swing open, and you will not see a foreign landscape. You will see a home you built with every prayer, every tear, every act of stubborn trust. You built it without knowing. I was the architect, but you were the laborer. Your obedience, even when it felt foolish, was laying the bricks. This is why I couldn't explain it earlier. If I had shown you the blueprint of this mansion when you were living in a hut, your small imagination would have fixated on the gilt and the marble. You would have coveted the finished product, but despised the process. You would have tried to skip the foundational work to get to the decoration, and it would have collapsed. I had to let you love the process without knowing the product. I had to let you find me in the labor itself. I had to let you discover that my presence in the struggle was a greater reward than the prize you thought you were struggling for. Do you see? The delay was the gift. The waiting was where you found out who I am. Not as a cosmic vending machine, but as a father. Not as a fixer of problems, but as the source of your identity. In the silence, you learned to hear my voice above all others. In the hunger, you developed a taste for the bread of heaven, not just the crumbs of circumstance. Now, we arrive at the heart of the mystery you have lived. The very areas of your greatest shame, your most tender scars, the parts of your story you want to skip over. They are about to become the source of your greatest authority. The wound is where the light enters you. And now, it will become the very place from which light flows out to others. You thought these things disqualified you. I have been preparing them as your platform. You thought they were secrets to be hidden. I am making them the cornerstone of your testimony. This is the beautiful, terrifying justice of my kingdom. Nothing is wasted. Not one tear. Not one night of anguish. Not one betrayal. It is all being redeemed. It is all being woven into a narrative of such specific personal grace that when you tell it, others will not see you. They will see me. They will see a God who does not just give gifts, but who resurrects the dead places and calls them holy ground. This is the surprise. You are my surprise. To a world that values the polished and the perfect, I am sending you the beautifully broken, the authentically mended, the walking testament that the strongest buildings are made from stones that were once discarded. The fulfillment you have sought externally is about to spring up from within you, like a well. In a desert you thought would claim your life, the well was there all along. I was leading you to it, and I had to let you thirst, so you would value the water. Now drink. There is a tension you are feeling, a holy friction. It is the space between the truth I am speaking and the reality you still see with your eyes. This is the final stretch of the unveiling, and it requires the most courage, because I am going to ask you to trust the map over the terrain. What you see around you, the unfinished business, the lingering consequences, the relationships still frayed, the bank account still low, the dream still dormant. This is not the final picture. This is the canvas, stretched and prepared. The paints are being mixed. The first strokes of the new reality have already been applied in the unseen realm, and they are drying into permanence. You must understand the nature of my surprises. They are rarely a sudden eruption from a clear sky. They are most often a quiet convergence, a series of seemingly unrelated events, people, and inner knowings that have been traveling on separate trajectories for years, now guided toward a single point of collision. That point is your present moment. The person you are about to meet. The idea that will suddenly ignite. The provision that will arrive from the forgotten place. The door that will open when all doors were bolted. These are not random. They are the final pieces of the mechanism coming together. You have been praying for the mechanism to work. I have been building the entire clock. This is why you couldn't see it. You were focused on the missing gear. I was crafting the spring, the face, the hands, the casing. You were impatient for the tick. I was engineering an instrument that would keep time for generations. Now let me speak to the residue of fear. The enemy of this moment is not doubt. Doubt is just wounded faith. I can heal that. The enemy is familiarity, the temptation to choose the known misery over the unknown glory, the devil you know. You are standing on the edge of a promise so vast, it feels like a cliff. And a part of you longs to step back into the smaller, darker cave you came from because, at least there, you knew the boundaries. At least there, you were not responsible for the expanse. This is the final confrontation before the release. I am dismantling the addiction to smallness. I am breaking the chains of a comfort that was slowly suffocating you. You called it a struggle, but it was a known quantity. You knew how to survive it. I am not calling you to survive anymore. I am calling you to reign, and that unknown territory feels, in your spirit, like a kind of death. It is the death of the limited self. But I would not ask you to walk into this if I had not already gone ahead. I am not sending you. I am leading you. And I have already secured the victory in this new land. Every giant you fear has already been measured for its fall. Every obstacle has been factored into the plan. The provision for the journey is already hidden along the path, waiting for your foot to fall on the exact spot to reveal it. Do you remember the manna in the wilderness? It could not be stored. It had to be gathered fresh, daily. That was the lesson. Your old ways of hoarding security, of stockpiling acknowledgement, of storing up human approval, they are useless here. This new season requires a new dependence, a daily gathering of grace, a moment-by-moment listening for my direction. The beautiful surprise is not a one-time event. It is a new ecosystem. a new way of living and moving and having your being in me. The breakthrough is not the destination. It is the doorway. And as you stand here in this holy tension, I want you to do something. I want you to acknowledge the longing, that specific, aching desire in your heart that you have almost been afraid to name, because naming it makes the wanting more acute. That desire is not an accident. It is not a temptation to lead you astray. It is a homing beacon. I placed it in you. It is calibrated to the future I have for you. It is designed to pull you toward your purpose, just as surely as a flower is pulled toward the sun. The ache is not a sign of my absence. It is the evidence of my call. So in these final moments of waiting, do not numb the ache. Do not distract yourself from the longing. Lean into it. Let it speak. It is the truest part of you, whispering of a home you have never seen but have always known. The convergence has begun. The separate streams are becoming a river, and it is about to carry you to a place you could never have walked to on your own. Prepare to be carried. Now, be still. The machinery of heaven is in motion on your behalf. There is a sound, a frequency of shift, that is vibrating in the atmosphere around your life. You cannot hear it with your ears, but you can feel it in your spirit. A resonant hum of alignment. It is the sound of doors unlocking in realms you cannot see. It is the sound of divine appointments being nudged into place. It is the sound of the old, stubborn resistance finally cracking under the sustained pressure of my favor. This is the moment where you must do the hardest work. You must rest. Not the rest of cessation, of giving up. The rest of the warrior who knows the battle is won and simply stands, watching the enemy's lines crumble. The rest of the child who has argued their case to a loving father and now, having spoken, falls silent, trusting the judgment. Your striving was a necessary prayer, a violent faith that laid hold of the promise. But now, the transition from striving to receiving requires a different posture. It requires open hands, not clenched fists. It requires a quiet heart, not a strategic mind. I see you. You are poised, tense, waiting for the next instruction, the next step to take. Your mind is racing, trying to anticipate the surprise so you can be ready for it. Stop. You cannot anticipate this. If you could, it would not be a surprise. It would be a plan of your own making. And your plans are too small. Your imagination, for all its God-given beauty, is still limited by your experience. You are trying to picture the gift based on the wrapping paper you have seen in your life. I'm using a paper you have never seen, a color that does not yet exist in your world. So release the need to manage this. Relinquish the obsession with the how. Your how is a cage. My how is a mystery that will delight you. Instead, I want you to remember. Look back over the wilderness, not with the old eyes of regret, but with the new eyes I am giving you. See the pillars of cloud and fire you missed. The cloud was not just guidance, it was protection from a sun that would have scorched you in your delicacy. The fire was not just light, it was a warning to every predator of your soul that you were not alone. I was making you uncomfortable to make you untouchable. You misinterpreted my protection as punishment. You thought the narrowing path was a sign you had gone wrong. It was a sign you were being guided with precision. A wide path means many can walk it. It leads to common destinations. The narrow path is custom made for your feet alone. It leads to a destiny that has your name written on it. This is the clarity that comes before the manifestation, the rereading of your own story through my eyes. This is the gift of truth that brings not fear, but a profound, humbling awe. You will see that every no was a deeper yes. Every ending was a necessary incision. I was not cutting you away from good things. I was cutting the good away from the best, so you would be free to receive it. Now, feel the weight lifting. The confusion that has been a constant low-grade fever in your soul is breaking. The questions that have looped in your mind like a tormenting chorus. Why? When? How long? Are being answered not with words, but with a substance, a knowing. They are being replaced with a single solid statement. He was with me. He was for me. All along. This is the foundation I have been building. A foundation of unwavering trust, not in outcomes, but in my character. When the surprise arrives, and it is closer than your next breath, it will not be the most important thing. I will be. The gift will point to the giver. The miracle will reveal the heart behind it. And my heart for you is good. It has always been good. Even in the silence, it was good. Even in the stripping, it was good. Even when you raged at me, it was good. I am not a transactional God. I am a relational Father. This entire journey has been one long, painful, beautiful invitation into deeper intimacy. The surprise is simply the natural fruit of that union. It is what happens when you finally abide in the vine. Life flows, fruit appears, not by strain, but by connection. So in this final pause, abide. Let your soul catch up to the victory that is already yours. Let your mind surrender its need to decode my methods. Let your heart simply beat in rhythm with mine. The wait is over. The work is done. The rest is yours. Now, receive. This is not an ending. It is a beginning of a kind you have never known. The moment you have waited for is here, but it will not feel like a moment. It will feel like a sunrise, inevitable, gradual, and then, all at once, the world is drenched in a new kind of light. The beautiful surprise is now. It is not a single event waiting in your future. It is a lens sliding into place over your present. It is the sudden, shocking clarity with which you see your now. The pieces are not coming together out there. They are clicking together in here, in the sanctuary of your own perception. The external world is about to reconfigure itself to match the internal truth I have established in you. Look at the same circumstances, the same people, the same you in the mirror. But look with the eyes I have healed in the darkness. Do you see it? The prison looks different when you realize the door has been open the whole time. The weight feels different when you discover the strength I secreted into your bones during the carrying. The past reads differently when you understand it as a prologue and not a life sentence. This is the surprise. You are free. You have been free. But you needed the long journey to believe it. Amen.